Hello and welcome to The Lobby, GameSpot's weekly video game chat show every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific right here on GameSpot.com live. It's also on Twitch, or hello if you're watching this on demand on GameSpot.com, or YouTube. My name is Daniel Dwyer. I'm the host of today's proceedings, joined as ever by Mr. Christopher Waters.
Hey, Danny.
How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm gearing up to go down south.
Yeah, this is a one-day week. MLK Day Monday, Lobby Day Tuesday, San Antonio,
Fly to San
rest of the
Antonio
week.
for PAX South.
Yeah.
And if any of you guys are going to go there, hit us up on Twitter. We can hang out by
Absolutely.
the Riverwalk, go
because
to the
it
Alamo.
doesn't sound like many people are going.
We'll see all the indie games there in like 30 minutes,
Yep.
45 maybe.
We'll see what's going to happen. But there are actual boxed retail games also coming out. At least I think Resident Evil HD Remaster has a boxed retail version. But who better than Mr. Kevin Van Ord, the reviewer of that video game for GameSpot.com, to come on and tell us. Is there a boxed copy of Resident Evil HD Remaster? Yeah,
I honestly don't know.
I don't think so.
It came in codes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think there is.
When was the last time you bought a boxed copy of a game?
A boxed copy of a
Yes.
game? I bought Destiny.
Bayonetta 2.
Okay, I did Destiny. Bayonetta 2? Oh, Mario Kart for me. There you go. The Wii U. Still keeping it real. But we have you here today because we're going to do a new feature today on the lobby called Ask the Reviewer, where we ask the reviewer questions about the review they did.
This is scary. Is
it scary?
Is this like the comment sections come to life?
This is
I don't know
this
if I
is
have
the
the
comment
emotional
section.
resilience for that.
I have picked out some choice critiques and questions from the comment section on GameSpot.com and also from the Twitter, where we put a post out on my Twitter, your Twitter, and on GameSpot as well. So I picked out a couple. You've had your say about the game, and these are just a sort of a selection of the various critiques that people have. You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
Kevin,
yeah.
how'd you
water?
Go for it.
What'd you give the
This
game?
is T. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I said it was good. It's very
Good.
That's
very good.
2.5 better than Resident Evil 6.
Oh, this game's...
That's an upward trend, Capcom.
This game's so much better than Resident Evil 6.
All right,
Sorry.
I'm going to get into these questions.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
Grin89 asks a question which actually a lot of people were wondering about because there's some hearsay about this. Are there still Jill sandwiches? Did they change some of
They changed that.
the most notable?
As far as I know, it was changed in the GameCube version. That goes back to the original, but it didn't make its way, I think, into the GameCube version. And what this game is it's just an HD remaster of the GameCube version.
So when you're reviewing,
so all the dialogue, as far as I can tell, is the
Yeah.
same. No Jill sandwich, no Master of Unlocking. There's an achievement called
Shame.
Master of Unlocking.
oh really?
Yeah, but as far as I know, there's no dialogue that calls her Master of
What
Unlocking.
a damn shame.
Yeah.
To that end, Tyler Culp asks, how do you balance reviewing the technical parts of a remaster and the original experience? And I guess there's kind of an even weirder thing here because you're reviewing a remastered version of a remastering. So
Well-
how do you, is it difficult to sort of critique a game based on, 2015 standards?
It's, I think anytime you review, a re-release, it's always kind of tricky because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's the issue of how do you review a classic, because I don't think of reviewing a remaster or a re-release as just, a retro game review. I'm not pretending that it's 2002 now, and that all of those years didn't happen. So I think it is important to talk about, okay, you've never played Resident Evil 1. What are you going to get out of this if you don't have the nostalgia for it? And sometimes you have to remember, too, that the way you remember things, sometimes it's really hard to go back to games. You think it's a masterpiece, and then you go back to that silly little thing you played on the NES all those years ago, and you're like, oh, God, this is crap. What was I thinking? So it's balancing, how good is the game now after all that time has passed? How good is the remaster itself? Did they do a good job with the extras that they threw in? There are other considerations, too, like other remasters, I think of Halo.
Which, Chris, you reviewed last year.
Some of that visual stuff is remarkable. There was a lot of stuff that went into that. I wouldn't say that this it lives in that same category of remasters. It's very good, the updates, in the sense that it makes the game, I said this in the review, but it makes the game look like you remember it looking, as opposed to what it really looked like. And I think that's a triumph in and of itself.
If for instance, a GameCube re-release never existed, if this was the first time that Capcom had gone back to this beloved game, and this is how it looked like now, do you think perhaps it would have been more impressive?
Oh, it would probably have more impact, absolutely. But there's also the issue of, okay, so you had the 2002 remake, which really is, for all intents and standards, like intents and purposes, a remake as opposed to just a sprucing up. You know, there were new areas and new puzzles and lots of things that were different and brand new visuals. And there was a giant leap between what Resident Evil 1 was and what Remake on GameCube was in a relatively short period of time, in a shorter period of time than has happened between Remake and now.
It's like 12 years more.
And so there's a little bit of that disappointment in there when it's like, okay, there were, the first time around it was much bigger change than it is now. But I mean, all things considered, this game really holds up. There are some things that are annoying now. That were honestly annoying then.
So to that end, actually, I've got a couple of questions about those. And Nightrunner 0007 asks, I'm a huge fan of the original remake on GameCube, and I understand that in its time the limitations were still somewhat there. However, I honestly don't understand why the devs didn't add the element of being able to see what's in front of you. So one of the things that you could say that that's something that's inherently important in that game, but say one of the things that irked you was the loading screens are still there with the doors every now and again. So how do you sort of say what elements they should keep for having like touchstones in the game and what they shouldn't change? Because presumably a first-person mode might just change what Resident Evil is, or at least the ability to move.
Right. I mean, we were having this discussion before. I mean, Resident Evil 4 sort of proved, like, here's what you can do to take this into a new territory. And I don't know. Like, I didn't expect them to turn this into Resident Evil 4. I think that that's beyond what you should expect for a remaster. I still have to make sure my expectations are within what we know a product to be. And I didn't expect this to be like a Resident Evil 4 type reimagining of Resident Evil 1. I think that's a completely different undertaking. It sounds awesome, and now I want to play that. But I didn't really expect that to change. But we were having this discussion earlier about, like, what could you reasonably expect to change? And there are a couple things that I think would keep the essence of Resident Evil 1, but maybe switch to maybe waste a little less time. Like, I'm sort of okay with the camera angles for the most part. Like, it does all those fixed camera angles, they allow them to set up each shot kind of like you do in a film, like a prop master does in a film, where everything is in exactly the place it's meant to go. And so they can do that in video game form in Resident Evil with all of these fixed shots. Of course, the downside is that there are annoyances, especially with the new control scheme, which lets you get around using the analog stick, just pointing in the direction you want to go. But the problem is, of course, when the camera switches, and a great example is a puzzle that people probably know, where you have to flip a switch, the walls start going in, and you have to run around and push the statue and stuff. So there's this puzzle, and then when you're doing that, the camera changes like 4 times as you're just going around the corner trying to do this. And every time it changes, you have to sort of adjust how you're doing it. And it's like, there's a time limit. Let me just get this done. And you can use the old control scheme, but there are some inherent, like, kind of issues with the camera that happen up. But that doesn't bother me so much. I think, keep the camera angles, whatever. I think that's fine. But then on the other hand, you get some things that kind of do get annoying. Like, I don't know that the door opening animations are really adding all that much at this stage. Maybe the first time you do it, but after a while, like when you're in a 30-second bit of gameplay and you're doing all this backtracking, and suddenly it's like 3 minutes of door, 3 minutes of walking, 3 minutes of seconds. I'm sorry, I said minutes. 3 seconds. That's just a long door opening.
Felt like minutes.
3 seconds of door, 3 seconds of walking. After a while, that can kind of like, maybe they could have been cut down.
It adds
a
up to
bit.
be a significant percentage of your time
It
spent
does.
in the
It's
game.
just
It's just
watching
watching
doors.
Speaking of things that perhaps you would have liked them to cut, this is kicking off a bit on Twitter at the moment. Derek Newman asked a very good question.
I know where
what's
this is
with the
going.
boob physics? Was that in the GameCube version? If so, why leave it in? And I saw you have a discussion with somebody on Twitter
I
who
did, because
sort of confirmed that was actually
because
in the
I thought
GameCube.
was it like that? Because I noticed when I was playing, it wasn't anything that stood out to me a whole lot. Like you notice when thank you for looping this, by the way,
problem.
before the show started.
So this is from me and Peter playing, and it wasn't until not this part, but this part
the
in the
slow
hole that I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, and there are a couple of shots where those things really are moving a bit. And it's something I didn't remember in the GameCube version. But then again, like memory is a funny thing, right? And I'm not really a breast man.
Yep.
As it were. So I went back and I watched a bunch of footage of the GameCube version today, and sure enough, there it was. It was always there.
So is that something you think, like, 2015, perhaps we're past the point of this stuff like being widely acceptable by gaming audiences?
I think two things have happened. Number one is we're just noticing stuff like that more because it's really gratuitous, and I think we're becoming more and more conscious of what purposes are served by things like that. There's no real purpose that serves. We don't know more about Jill, and honestly, that doesn't look all that authentic or realistic for a woman in the field to just I don't know. So it seems like that's number one. I think we're just noticing that stuff. Number two is it's HD now, like something that you played on your GameCube and were watching on an SD TV. It probably looked a lot less flagrant and noticeable then, whereas now you spruce it up. I don't know. I don't think that they've enhanced those breasts in any way. I just think that now that it's in, we have all the glorious pixels.
Right, that it's more.
Now it's in HD. It just looks like she has two bags of water instead of like actual human flesh.
Water boobs.
Yeah. And things like that, we do notice that stuff more, the way things move in video games. Oh, really?
Do we need to have a slow-mo version of this?
Really?
Just trying to appreciate the environmental art here, Kevin. That lighting remaster is just...
Jesus
Christ.
Oh,
good Lord.
All things considered,
I
wasn't...
It's like an Itagaki joint right there.
Yeah, I wasn't all that bothered by it. It really wasn't like playing Soul Calibur or Dead or Alive or anything. It wasn't like I was just suddenly being knocked on the head by breasts everywhere. Or
That's
anything.
a different video game. It's available on Xbox Live Indies, probably.
I did notice, and it makes me wonder, where are all the junk physics? We never see junk physics.
I know,
in
with
games.
Chris Redfield, I'm sure he's got some ample package.
Of course, real-life junk physics are really hard to come by,
He does
too.
look muscly in the new skin. He does look ridiculous. Remember when Resident Evil 5 stuff came out? And his arm was like fucking 12 times the size of a regular arm.
Were you here?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Because
Because that was the year we had the biggest biceps category in our end-of-the-year voting. It was Chris Redfield. It was 50 Cent from Blood on the Sands.
Where's my skull?
It was the
Lady.
Bionic Commando dude.
Bionic Commando dude. Because it was these guys with just like heaps of arm meat.
I think we actually had 5 nominees
There were
for
4 or
that
5
category.
for sure. Yeah.
Is this something just Capcom love doing? Because like the logo for Resident Evil 6 had a giraffe getting a, getting a bit of crotch pleasure.
Oh yeah, right where a giraffe crotch is.
Yeah, can't wait for Resident Evil 7.
Anatomically correct.
Who knows? Resident Evil 7 beach volleyball. Here we go. Kevin Van Ort, thank you very much for coming on.
I'm done.
Talking to us all about Resident Evil.
That wasn't so bad. Hey, I'm going to say the least controversial thing I'll say all day.
Bet it won't be.
Resident Evil 1 is better than Resident Evil 6.
There you go. I'm sure someone in the comments will find something to take up on that one as well. We'll be back in a second talking about the new Borderlands package and the Xbox One price cut. But for now, let's check out the latest trailer for Call of Duty. Yo, those zombies are back. Now they're wearing exoscoots. Exoscoots? I wish they were scooters. Exosuits. Roll tape.
When Atlas dropped the bomb, they hoped it would finish the war. Instead, it unleashed a freak show like no one's ever seen.
What the hell?
Get me security.
This is a code for re-evacuation. Remember the drill.
some more! Damn, dirty zombies! Holy shit!
I fucking hate the Atlas Corporation.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, before we actually get into this section about Borderlands, can we just appreciate what the goddamn hell John Malkovich is doing in a video game?
They have gotten the most ridiculous cast of people to come into those COD DLCs over the years. I mean, they had like Buffy the Vampire Slayer in one of them.
Yeah,
which was awesome, by the way.
Rose McGowan.
Yeah.
Mary Kish.
She's pretty hot. What's up, Danny?
What's up?
She's actually pretty good. I'm always shocked at the people they get to pull into those games.
Bill Paxton. You know,
why not?
It's all the Venn diagram for fucking Call of Duty fans and the Venn diagram for Bill Paxton fans, for Independence Day fans. And it turns out there was this massive intersection.
Spot. And also zombies overlap with that. It's just the sweet spot.
They didn't know that Scooters was also there. So the Exo Scoots would have actually...
They weren't even going to put zombies in it. They had enough with Paxton, but then they just sweetened the deal.
I just want to see like some sort of... That's it. That's like the future of like the celebrity deathmatch thing. Is it's Call of Duty and it's like real version skins of people. Like let's get Ed Boon on this. Let's get like Bill Paxton versus fucking Steven Spielberg.
Downloadable Denzel Washington in there. Yeah.
It's like the best part of every Fight Night game is downloading Gandhi and having him fight Harry Potter. Like let's just make it a game.
And then
make it happen.
We tested this in a group and they said they wanted zombies. So we're just gonna add those in there too.
Forget this people having control over their own likeness stuff. That's limited our creative expression for far too long.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, should we talk about Borderlands now?
Yes, please.
All right, let's go back to this camera. It's great. It's live experience. Just do whatever. Just come back here. Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the lobby. Mary Kish is right here. Borderlands expert Mary Kish, I should say. You play a hell of a bunch of this game.
I like Borderlands a lot. I'm a big fan of the series.
How do you feel about playing it again in, I was about to say in HD, in...
Next Gen D.
Next Gen D.
Yeah.
All the D. Hold my D. On the Xbox One or PlayStation 4. So they've announced the Handsome Collection.
Yeah.
Which has got, it's actually a pretty good deal. It's got Borderlands 2. It's got Borderlands the pre-sequel, which only came out in October of last year.
Right, and then all that DLC.
All the DLC, and there's something like 20 different packs that they had for this.
There is a lot.
There's so much extra.
Yeah, I think they should.
Because they have extra playable characters. They have these like arena sort of challenges. They have these big monster boss hunt challenges. And they have these
look
at this stuff.
Yeah, they have all these standalone story ones with like Torg and Miss Scarlet.
It looks a lot fancier when you put it in a little box like that, where it looks like it's its own set. Most of those will never see the light of day in retail. They were just like extra little bits.
Like $2 packs, but
still, for the enthusiast, that's actually a lot of content. So it's really great for someone who really enjoys Borderlands.
And it does seem like it's for the enthusiast because they're also allowing you to bring your save over once it's within the same sort of family.
It has to be in the family.
Yeah, so 360 for Xbox One and PS3 for PS4. So this is coming out sort of on its own for $60.
Yes.
There's another version we'll talk about in a second, which is insane.
We also have missed a crucial point, or part of this is that you can play it split screen 4 ways.
Yes.
People, this is like actually, I would say, the only selling point of this.
Honestly.
So let's do that one first. I mean, there are no couch co-op games for like current gen. You want to play it, you have to buy multiple copies. That's just something that's been happening more and more.
So you put out a great video last week where you had your sort of like 13 best couch co-op experience over the past couple of years. Was there nothing there that was like next gen only? Next gen available?
It just doesn't exist really. Yeah, I mean, all the games now. It's just such an interesting conversation. Like, why don't they do it anymore? It's because of the money, Mary. Well, no, maybe it's because it's a lot harder.
Just the way people are changing.
No,
internet connections. People don't like to play local so much.
It's funny. Yeah, they want to sell more games. They make you play together. But 4 people split screen, which definitely this is something that you need current gen to do. It's actually not possible with last gen. I mean, anyone who played Borderlands with a friend, you would probably have immediately noticed there was some severe problems with texture popping. There was frame rate issues with 2 people. But now they can get 4 people, and I guarantee you, I mean, if nothing else, in terms of like how beautiful this game's gonna look, this isn't a realistic game, right? So I'm sure people, when they saw this, were like, who gives a shit that it looks nicer? This game looks like a cartoon. It looks like a comic. But it does have edge mapping. You know, it does have texture popping. You ever notice when you played Borderlands 2 that when you switched a weapon, it was blurry? Well, that's because they're streaming in those textures. They're not there yet. So with higher RAM means that gun is going to look smooth the second you pop it out.
Hopefully, because like when they showed in the trailer, they showed the split screen 4-way, but they popped them all in like, okay, that was probably done by a video editor.
Yeah.
And like one of the sort of little annoyances about Mario Kart on the Wii U is that when you did 4-player, the frame rate was like pretty decently chopped down. Like I'm not sure if it was halved, but it looked so nice in like 2-player split screen and a single player. But then when you did it in 4-player, I was like,
It's a constant issue. It's something that Borderlands actually did really well. I mean, a lot of people probably wondered why did they choose it to look like that. You know, they packed a lot of content in something that played on a 360 pretty good. I mean, you're talking about a last-gen system that had a butt ton of textures. And the reason they were able to do that, the developers were even able to do that, was because of the way that they did this texture streaming and texture lighting. So
do you remember that announcement? Because that game looked completely different when they first showed it off. And it wasn't until they showed off the sort of whatever their take on that sort of cell shading, or whatever, that's a bit reductive, but whatever that is, like, then people were suddenly really interested in it as well. So hopefully that'll be something that looks,
I don't know, that announcement cut both ways, as I recall. People were like, oh, they just made it a cartoon game. Oh, I was really hoping for this like gritty sort of Alien Planet Mad Max kind of thing. And then they're like, wow, this is making it all crazy. But obviously that visual aesthetic and also sort of tone of character and writing has been one of the key parts of Borderlands' success over the years.
It's synonymous. Like they're actually really, you know, that's just something you think of when you think of Borderlands. You think of like this wacky visual effects and shooty McFace.
Yeah.
You know, you think of these like wacky scenarios where you're shooting people and everything looks ridiculous, except for the water. For whatever reason, they made it realistic.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's so.
That's great.
Place.
It's like the what was the Half-Life 1 when they did it in Source. And it was just Half-Life, but the water textures were nice.
But the water was good.
So, Mary Kish, fan of Borderlands, March 24th, will you be picking it up?
That's my title.
Yeah.
You know, I think for the enthusiast, I definitely have not played all the DLC. I think it's something that I would be interested in playing. I honestly wasn't a huge fan of the pre-sequel. I liked the story of Borderlands 2 better, but I would actually play through it again. So I would pick it up to play four-person co-op, sitting all together on a couch playing through Borderlands 2. That sounds like a weekend. That is good, and that's a good deal.
With all those Xbox One controllers that you own?
Good point.
What they don't factor in.
I mean, you can have 4 players on the screen, but that's another, like, $40, $50 a pop?
Ain't nobody got 4 Xbox One controllers later.
So that's that's $60 for the game. Then let's say $40 for each controller. That's 140, 180.
It's getting up there.
Why stop there? Why not spend $400 on Borderlands by getting the Claptrap in a Box edition, which has...
it's right there in the title.
It's got Claptrap in the box.
In the box. It's like an RC Claptrap.
Yeah, it is. And it comes with a Claptrap.
Nice.
That's on your phone.
Great.
And that's how you can control your Claptrap. And you can see on your phone what the Claptrap sees, which is pretty. That is pretty cool. And it has all his famous lines like stairs, no. Like
great.
It's got all the classic lines. I mean, when I'm sitting around in my room full of money, I typically wonder, what am I going to do with all this money?
Gosh, it would be great if I had a little more room here and a little less, I don't know, money maybe.
And maybe some way of like spying on my roommates, jacking it in the sitting room when I'm not there.
Yay!
Now,
on my app.
As a babysitter, you know?
Thanks.
A lot of people put a camera in like
Thanks,
video games.
You know.
Thanks, Randy Pitchford.
like some kind of teddy bear, you know, nanny cam. But now it's really obvious and creepy as hell.
Speaking of wasting your money, there's been an Xbox One price drop as well, or maybe wasting your money if you'd bought one in the weeks prior to this, because they've once again sort of dropped the price down to $350. That's $50 off the regular price. This is the Kinect-less version. If you want to get the one with Kinect, it's still going to cost you $500.
Remember that time when Microsoft was like, all right, we really need to sell some this holiday season. Let's knock $50 off the price. And then the holiday season was over, and they're like, cool, that was massively successful. We outsold the PS4 for the first time ever. Let's just bump the price back up.
Yeah.
Did we think that was going to stick, Microsoft? Did you really think that was going to stick?
They can't just let you think you can have it for $50 less all the time, because then what's the point of having it at the retail price? You got to bring it up, and you got to bring it back down.
This reminds me of like
Market
Steam flash fails
analyst.
and stuff. I bet this works. Like I bet, because now people are like, you know what? Oh, it's down to 50 again. I have all that extra. I got to get a bit more cash after that Christmas, that December slump when you're buying all presents and stuff and booze and Christmas pudding.
I mean, you bet your ass that shit works. I mean, think about like the guy who I heard about this, like the guy who used to run Sears or whatever was like, I'm not going to have any coupons ever. We're just going to keep the prices low. It's smart, and that's the way it should be. And that dude was out of there in like 6 months because people stopped buying it. People like cutting coupons. It's weird, and we can make fun of Microsoft all we want, but it's the stupid consumer that loves the idea that they save $50. So it works. Like, who cares?
Maybe this is about momentum, because as you said, they sold more Xbox Ones than PlayStation 4s over the Christmas break. It was also, there were way more people playing on Xbox Live than PlayStation Network, which is a really fun factoid that I love, because PSN was down for most of that time.
Yeah.
But Microsoft still pushed that little
They'll
one
have
out.
it out there. Hey, the facts don't lie.
Yeah. So do you think,
Statistics.
especially because PlayStation sort of had a bit of a rough Q4, like they didn't have that many big games come out. The only sort of main first-party game they had that came out was a complete clusterfuck with Drive Club. So do you think maybe the momentum is with Microsoft now for the first time after sort of a decent, it feels like 6 to 9 months of PlayStation having a pretty good take on the market?
I mean, I feel like that price drop was super key for them, because that was finally, you're manipulating the consumer's mindset. Like, all right, it's more affordable now. It's not like quite as exorbitant. It's $349. That's way far away from $400. Like the mental barriers there. Do I think that they've snatched it back from Sony or anything like that? Like, no, the install base momentum for Sony is still really strong. I think that holiday purchase was a lot of people maybe getting their second console a year after their launch, and maybe just finally saying like, well, I'm not going to buy an Xbox One at full price. That's just bad shopping.
And $50 makes a big difference when, like, one of the things I remember from working at GameStop and a couple of other stores was that when parents would come in looking to get consoles for their kids, then that $50 can make a massive difference, because that's either an extra game, or if there's like 2 siblings,
an extra controller.
There's that controller for Borderlands 4-player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bringing it back around. That's what I like. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. So if you're more interested in picking up an Xbox One now that the price has dropped by $50, or you think it's a load of nonsense and that $50 shouldn't make a difference, please let us know in the comments below. All right. Mary, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll appreciate it.
Yeah.
Get back to running everything behind the scenes.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to get Eric Tay out here.
Cut to a commercial.
To talk about Evolve. And we do have a trailer prepared, which I'm pretty sure you know about. Do you know what it is?
No.
It's got something to do with what you're doing with PAX on Saturday at 11 a.m. in the
Falcon Theater. Yeah, hosting. Oh, okay. So it's about Sid Meier's Starships?
It is indeed.
Yeah, going to be hosting a panel with Sid Meier. Let's check it out. Cool.
All right, let's do it. Sid Meier's Starships.
Cool.
Cut to the commercial.
Our ancestors crossed the great void untold millennia ago. Pilgrims from a dying world long since lost. From tumultuous beginnings, their struggle, courage, and fortitude gave birth to our civilization. For many centuries, our people prospered. Peace ruled our planet, and our understanding of the world around us grew. Our scientists have long speculated that ours was not the only tribe to make this journey and establish a new home on another world. But their searching has been met again and again with silence. Until now. The transmission was weak and incomplete, but in a language not unlike our own. Our anticipation grew. What culture and knowledge had our brothers developed during the long centuries of our separation? A starship was prepared, ambassadors recruited. But gradually, the meaning of the message became clear. It was a desperate call for help. Galvanized by the revelation that we are not alone, our fleet has been equipped, and we are ready to answer the call of our brethren. What shall we find as we set our course beyond the stars?
February 10th, we will finally get to play Evolve from Turtle Rock Studios, and those of you who are playing the beta for the past week or so have been chatting about whether or not that game lives up to its hype or whether it'll be something you're interested in playing just in a couple of weeks' time. Chris Waters, Eric Tay, you guys have been playing it in the alphas. We've had a sort of exclusive access to it as well over the past year or so, just at various stage of its development. So I want to chew it out with you guys. It's out in a couple of weeks. We'll obviously have a review up on GameSpot eventually, but from your sort of exposure to the game over the past year, and especially in relation to the latest beta, Chris, first of all, what do you think about Evolve?
I'm super into it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been enjoying this game since I first got to play and got demolished by a monster and then demolished someone as a monster. It's really stressful, but really satisfying to rip through some people. I think the concept is really intriguing, and in the limited spurts that I've been able to play it, it's made good on it. It is this unique kind of team dynamic boss fight thing that has, whether you're playing as a human or a monster, it's a substantially different experience. I like it.
Have you had much experience with playing with random people against playing with folks you know? Because we've had a couple of in-office kind of gameplay tournaments and whatnot.
Yeah, so we have a couple setups here, so we try to play together when we can, because better to play with people that you know than to roll the dice. But I did play with matchmake with some random folks during the beta this weekend, and I did with the alpha previously, and I mean, we've definitely had some doozies. Tay and I were in this one match with this medic who was just I have a sniper rifle. Awesome! Monster headshots all day! I was seriously standing there, I was on voice chat, I was pinging him, I was using my abilities to try to get him to heal anybody at all. We were all running around with 1/3 health for 70% of the match. It was a debacle. But then that's one extreme. Then you can also get into matches where it's it's just someone like Tay on the other end, got a general idea of how the game flows, knows to play to his strengths, knows how to communicate. Even without speaking on the headset, you can leave your little waypoints to say stuff. And so, it's like any cooperative multiplayer game. It kind of has that little live or die depending on your teammates.
Yeah.
It's kind of the nature of the game.
Eric, you're no sort of stranger to cooperative online shooters. You've been playing a hell of a bunch of Destiny since that came out last year. What are your feelings on Evolve? I think you're a little bit more tempered than Chris is.
So, for me, I see the fun factor in it. I see that when we play in the office, when we're landing together, and there's generally either all of us are hunters or all of us are hunters and there's a monster, it's kind of more fun because I can talk trash as the monster, or I can talk trash to the person that is the monster. But then you get those games where you do get that one medic, and we're basically screwed, right? You're screwed because of this one player. And that's kind of frustrating because it's almost like I was telling him earlier, I'd rather have a bot. Because this guy is not doing his job, and the bot will at least heal us. We ran across the map. Everyone's super low. We're yelling at each other this guy is not healing. I'm about to die. We can't do anything. We can't even follow the monster right now. Hell, we can't even traverse because we might get picked off by wildlife.
By the stuff
mobs.
you can normally just shake off, and then the medic tops you up.
Yeah.
We got killed by that stuff.
So is that sort of stuff just the norm, especially in a beta, when people are really new to the experience and they might not know exactly what they're doing? Do you think this is Gears of War week 1, Call of Duty week 1, just normal, par for the course, people being idiots?
The thing though is that with Call of Duty or Gears of War, you have a general idea of we're gonna go do this, right? But in Evolve, there are defined roles, right? There's a trapper, there's a assault, there's a medic, there's a support. Each plays a very specific and defined role that's important, right? You have to do your job or your team's going to suffer for it, especially if the monster knows what he's doing. Granted, Evolve does do a good job in showcasing you and kind of giving you a mini tutorial, before you play your character. Here's your character, here's kind of what it does, here's the different abilities and the different guns that you have. And it does that. But the thing is, the player has to utilize those things. If they don't utilize those things, then you're kind of dead weight. Again, I hate to use the medic guy again, but it's like, I have a sniper rifle. So he thinks like, oh, I'm supposed to snipe the monster all the time. And you're not supposed to do that, right? So my big thing is that it might potentially be frustrating in the beginning, part of like the learning experience or playing with randoms. And I think it'll eventually get better because like it has a leveling up system, right? So the higher you level, the higher like level people you'll probably play with. I'm sure there's an MMR. So at that point, the dedicated people will be like, level 10, 15, and then when you're playing with those people, they have to have a general idea because they've invested time. But if you go in week 1 and you have multiple bad experiences potentially, that can really make you not want to play the game. Like, so many people don't have that much time anymore to play games. If you say, I'm going to sit down and play 2 evolved matches, but you get 2 really bad ones just by chance, right? It's a luck of the draw.
Can totally happen.
Because you could, as Chris said, you could also have a really great team and you can do what you need to do.
But it's a bit of a crapshoot.
But it's a bit of a crapshoot. So like, if you play 2 bad games, that gives you this perception like, oh man, like I'm just not going to get anywhere, and these people don't know what they're doing,
or maybe it's not even that clear to you. Maybe it's just, what the hell, how do we even have a chance against this monster? We're getting destroyed. You don't necessarily realize that everyone's not playing to their role, and so your team is not like at full strength. Monster tears you up, that gives you the impression that the game is imbalanced, and I think balance is so crucial to the success of this game, between the different monsters, between the different hunters, because even when we've been playing like at events and stuff with people who have played before, when we're trying out new hunters and new monsters, like there have been matches that I've been like, what could we even have done differently?
Really?
Yeah.
Does the opposite ever happen? Because one of the things I worry about this, and like its easiest comparison is something like Left 4 Dead. So number one, you don't really have your classes. Some people, stay out front, and some people kind of hold back on, or maybe need a bit more medics, or medicine or whatever, like first aid rather, every once in a while. But they're not like defined roles. But the one thing in Left 4 Dead is that the AI director, this is literally like a system that Valve had to make sure that it did not get imbalanced. Whereas the big antagonist in a game of Evolve is a person. And that person might be really good, or that person might suck ass. So what happens, like, how often does that ever happen where you're just in a game and it's a complete blowout because the individual doesn't have a clue what to do?
Happened during our live stream last week. We were 4 hunters, we know the game, and then like the monster came in and was just like, kind of knew the mechanics, you could see them doing monster stuff, but just like the strategy of like, you need to run, you need to like you need to know when to be engaged or not. Like, we were just sitting there wailing on it, and we're like, oh, this person doesn't really know what to do now. We've got them locked, sewn up, so. But you can also play against an AI monster. Like, you can choose as a team of 4 to go in and play co-op or PvP. You can play all this stuff solo. But yeah, I mean, to your point about the AI director, it's kind of like in Left 4 Dead, even though the AI director was there to give you some kind of scaling, like there's like a minimum level that you have to be skilled at, or else you're going to fail. Like, you're just going to fail. And so it does have to be that time when, your enemy has to have a basic level of competency for it to be successful, but you also don't want them to be like super ace.
It sounds like a lot of these worries probably won't be known until the game is out and it's actually in sort of the wider public's hands. To that point, there are multiple ways in which you can purchase Evolve, and this, I don't know about this, but this seems completely insane to me, some of the like levels of DLC that are happening. So the video game Evolve, which has 12 unique maps, 12 hunters, 3 monsters, it's $60.
Yeah.
All right, pick up that game. There you go. It's a video game. $60.
You got it, the whole
all
thing.
That stuff. Video game. There is a season pass. That's normal as well.
Sure.
You get 3 new monster skins. They're not new monsters, right? They're just skins.
Yes.
They make them look different.
Yes, slightly different.
You also
they
get...
they have glowy bits.
Magma. Magma Goliath, Magma Kraken, and Magma Wraith.
Those are the skins.
Great.
Yeah.
4 new hunters. These are also skins?
No, those are
hunters.
Those are new character hunters.
So you get that.
One for each class.
Okay. You can buy them separately if you want for $7.49.
Yeah.
Bit much?
The buying separately is like, because then there's also the monster, right, which you can buy separately for $15.
Yes.
Which, it doesn't. I mean, that makes the season pass look a lot more appealing. How much is the season pass?
The season pass is $24.99. If you want, though, you can buy the digital deluxe edition, which has both the season pass and the game, just in there together.
Okay.
It's only $80. You save a couple.
Save $5.
Yeah, save $5.
Off.
$5.
Yeah. Unless you're buying individual hunters, then you're saving more.
Yes.
Than that.
Then, as you alluded to earlier, there is a separate monster in the Monster expansion pack, which is only available if you pre-order the game, which gives you the Savage Goliath skin and the Behemoth when it becomes available. But you can buy the Behemoth separately for $15 if you want.
Okay.
You can still play against the Behemoth, right?
Yeah, so with the hunters and the monster, buying them is just to make them playable for you.
Got it.
You can still be matched against the new monster. You can still be teamed up with the other hunters. Yeah.
Okay, but...
And all the... Sorry, go on.
Go ahead. So, but here's the question, right? So, like, one of the big things is, like, is not owning the monster or not owning those extra hunters, are those hunters better? Is that monster better? You know what I mean? It comes down to that, and it's...
Pay to win?
Yeah, and it's a lot of that. I hate MOBAs. I hate MOBAs just for this.
Yeah.
The whole concept of selling an individual character or skins is a MOBA concept. I don't know if it's going to work in this setting.
I'm like, sure. But like the character
cosmetics, right?
It
It doesn't affect actual gameplay, right? It just looks.
The one thing I do like is that they're not going down the route of, say, like most first-person online games where you're basically locked out. Like, you can play against the Goliaths. Also, all the maps are going to be available to everyone at all times.
Yeah,
which is
there
good.
will be more maps that come, and that won't segment the player base map-wise.
Which is a problem in almost every multiplayer shooter 6 months down the line.
Yeah,
is that it cuts off the sort of the high-end players with people who are just sort of like fair weather playing every now and again. By the way, there's more versions of this game you can play. Continue to buy.
Please.
There is the Evolve Monster Race Edition. Monster Race. PC Monster. God damn it. Which comes with Evolve, the Hunting Season Pass, which includes the 3 monster skins, the 4 new hunters, and the Behemoth monster, if you buy it. 2 additional hunters. A 5th, unannounced, could be anything. Could be Space Monster, could be Godzilla, could be.
Goliath is already Godzilla.
Goliath's got could
He's
be
pretty Godzilla, dude.
Could be.
Come on. Could be like a spider demon.
Yeah.
I want an arachnid monster.
Could be Vince McMahon.
Could be Vince McMahon.
Could be Bill Clinton, like NBA Jam. You never know.
He was so good in NBA Jam.
Who knows?
Marie Antoinette.
It could be Marie Antoinette. There's not much in the Giant Bomb Marie Antoinette page.
No,
so
gotta get that
one
wiki.
out. And 4 monster skins that will be timed exclusive for 30 days. So it's just like.
So what's the issue here, Danny? Is it the adding of more content? Is it the pricing of that content, or is it the sheer articulation of different possible packages?
Because when you get down to it, I don't think they're actually doing that much wrong. I hate DLC being pushed before the game's out because it already makes me feel that when I spend $60, I'm getting this truncated version of the game.
Yep.
Like, just, okay, I get it. Announce the season pass. Let me know that there will be stuff coming, but don't
lay it all out
tell
there.
Me there's all
don't
this stuff.
Enumerate it that way.
Oh, you want to buy it for $7.49? Like, one extra deal. Like, come on.
So it's a messaging thing. It's a packaging thing. Like, what is the best way to? Because is there a way you can imagine, like, all right, I want to order Evolve. Instead of going to, like, GameStop, I go to evolve.com or whatever the site is, and I click to buy it. Like, oh, would you like to add this? Show a little video about what you can get for another few bucks. Would you like to add this? Like, is it the consumer experience? Because, like, I think that is an entirely mental thing, because it's a whole mental game of trying to drive pre-orders, because pre-orders are still so huge as metrics of success for companies, as insurers of a game's success, you know, to a certain degree. So they're trying to play that mind game and get you to think, wow, it's really an incentive for me to buy this early, but that's a double-edged sword, as you pointed out.
Totally. Like, there doesn't seem to be anything they're necessarily doing wrong, but like you were saying about the skins being like a big turn-off for you, and like for me, just knowing that there's all this game that I'm not going to get unless I spend, you know, how much is that Monster Race Edition?
I mean, for me,
it's
not
like
even
$100 or something. Yeah, around 90 or 100.
It's not even the skins because, like we said, it's cosmetic. If somebody wants a Magma Goliath, great, good for that person. It's just hopefully, like I said, balance. Because even you hearkened it earlier. Like, if I don't have that 4th monster or that extra hunter, and that hunter is better for some reason, then
or
it's going to be like
situations.
I have to buy. Yeah, I'm going to have to buy that character. I also think, though, in terms of the purchasing, I really hope that like they have something built into the game, like UI wise, because a lot of the
I'm sure.
like MOBA stuff,
I mean,
it's like click the shop and it shows you what it is, and then you can buy it if you want to, and then it'll show you what it does or whatever.
Something deeper than just store on the main menu, right?
Because currently it's all there on, for instance, on Steam. And you can do the pre-order on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. I don't know. It's just gotten so confusing to purchase games, and 2015 Danny does not have that much like attention span anymore, and I don't know. There's something about it.
I think Evolve is going to be an interesting one to see once it hits, because both in terms of the preview coverage, they've like doled out pretty significant chunks over a fairly long period of time, and also in this their messaging in terms of all the different iterations of DLC, like. That's stuff that we can see problems in and feel like uneasy about or wonder about. But is it the game that then, like, if the game does super well and everyone's like having a great time playing it, does that make all that stuff okay, or does it make it stuff not matter as much? Like, I think looking back, it's going to be interesting to see how it kind of. In retrospect, 3 months from now, how we feel about all this.
Yeah, the court of video game public opinion is a very strange place, and we're all horrible, horrible parts of it. And if you'd like to leave your horrible, horrible part of it in the comments section below, please, by all means do. Are you going to pick up Evolve? Which version are you going to pick up? Which skins do you want? Do you want a magma version of the lobby, which you'd be able to pay an extra $5 for, please?
Steampunk Kraken.
Yes, please. Steampunk Chris Waters. Please let us know.
I would pay for that.
That's a show this week, gents. Eric Tay, what are you doing for the rest of the week?
I got the Resident Evil video review with Kevin Van Ord. Hopefully get that done today. Destiny hard mode's out tomorrow.
Hard mode?
Hard mode raid. So we might be doing some of that.
Look at the glow on his face when that comes
so
up.
happy.
Yeah. It's been a month, man. I had to wait. They locked it on us, you know, to kind of space things out.
You've been doing that raid for the month, and now it's going to be hard mode. What was the articulation between Vault of Glass, regular and hard? I mean, it was just a few mechanics were sort of tougher. The enemies were level 32.
Biggest thing is you can't die.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Unless you're a warlock, then you can self-res. But in normal, you can get resurrect. Like your teammates can resurrect you. In hard mode, you die. You're down a guy.
Damn.
Or whatever.
Say what you want about Destiny. I love how divisive it is. But the guys in the office, guys and dolls who've been playing this video game, have been like enjoying it almost consistently for like 4 months now or so.
Yeah, I fell off about a month ago, but the train still keeps on rolling.
Yeah.
I would say it's unanimous that nobody like loves playing necessarily. I think we like hanging out with each other.
Okay.
I think we're more addicted to the game now. But I think when we're together, it's fun to play. Like it's like I got to talk to Sean McInnes 2 weeks ago because he was on Destiny. So things like that make. I don't know. There's a special connection.
Destiny, video games smoke break. It's like, let's all hang out together.
Yep.
We know this is bad for us, but fuck it.
Still doing it.
Yeah.
Makes me feel good, kinda.
To feel social. And of course, we're going into PAX South, San Antonio. We're flying out tomorrow for some fucking unknown reason.
Because we have to have a whole day at the Alamo, Danny.
That's true. We got to go to the Alamo.
Gonna check that out.
I can't wait. I hear that's where Ozzy Osbourne once took a piss.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's famous, right?
One of the many locations across this great nation.
So
urine residue of Ozzy Osbourne.
Just like a snail trail across
You should see the
North
map
America.
of that. It's just yellow splash icons all over the place.
Sharon. So we'll be down there. So if you're going to be in PAX South, by all means, hit us up on Twitter. Let us know. We might have some sort of little meet and greet drinky thing. Probably because it doesn't seem like the show is that big.
Yeah, I was looking at the map. You can see it on the PAX site or whatever, and you can see they've got the expo hall and they've got like the areas that are the big sponsored booths. I think Twitch has a big one. You know, they're going to stream from there probably. And then the areas that are they're all like the booths are this big, and you're like, that's where we're going to be because that's where all the cool indie games are.
Yeah,
and that's like continually, even at Prime and East last year when there's a giant Evolve monster, and like I had a great time playing it there. The cool games you see are so much about the indie games from PAX.
It's like a pick and mix. You just go in there and there's like 60 games and you haven't heard of 90% of them. And the lines are short. Or if the lines aren't short with that one, the lines are short with this one.
Right over here, you come back,
Yeah, it's great. I'm looking forward to it. So we've got panels as well. Yours is on the Falcon Theatre at 10 a.m.
11 a.m. on Saturday.
11 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Myself and Andy are doing a sort of a video editing workshop / weird. We're going to cut a top 10 video in an hour.
You guys are going to make a video
in an hour and publish it on GameSpot.
Really?
And it's going to be written by the people in the audience.
That's awesome.
It's going to be terrible. It's going to
be terribly
quality control.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm worried about quality. I'm worried about content control more than anything else. So we'll see how that goes. That's on at 2 p.m. in the same one, Falcon Theatre.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're around, by all means, come on down. That's the lobby for this week. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on. Thanks to Mary Kish out back. Thanks, Mary. Thanks to Kevin Van Ord. Thanks to everyone in the back in production, and we will see you guys next week. Tim Schafer is going to be in talking about Grim Fandango and a bunch of other stuff, so make sure you come back here 2 p.m. Pacific on GameSpot.com. See you then.